At the Office of Karnataka Digital Economy Mission. KDEM is one of the nerve centers for digital transformation of the state of Karnataka. They promote everything from startup clusters to investments and various other clusters in different parts of the state beyond Bangalore. And at MXR, we are very proud that we have over 125 pitch decks of startups who we're connecting to different investors. In fact, this evening, we are taking 9 of the startups from the past few months to meet their Thai Angels Karnataka to give them more funding and in the journey. So to tell us more about what's happening at KDEM, we're very happy to have here with us Bharat Chandra, who's the Head of Talent Acceleration at KDEM. And we're very happy to what's happening at KDEM. Bharat,
thank you, Madan, for bringing all the great minds to KDEM every time. Thank you so much for that. So let me give you the brief on what we do. Karnataka Digital Economy Mission is a Section 8 not-for-profit organization. We are here to enable the IT ecosystem of the state, both S&T, science and technology innovations, by focusing on 5 areas. One is, it is on ESDM, electronic system design manufacturing, startups and innovations. And third one is the IT BPM GCC companies. So keeping all of these sectors, the 4th horizontal vertical that we have is beyond Bangalore, and 5th one is talent accelerator vertical. Right. So the idea is to make sure that companies coming from these sectors to operate in the tier 2, tier 3 cities of the state, which is emerging. We call it as emerging clusters of the state. So we would like to provide policy benefits. We give them the infrastructure enablement in the tier 2, tier 3 cities. We work closely with the government of Karnataka, ITPT, to enable and provide a center of excellences in this tier 3 to 3 clusters. And also identify the key technological domain. For we have earmarked, identified some of the clusters as one of, in Mysore, we have marked as ESDM and Meta. In Bangalore, we are identified as a fintech hub. In Hubli, Belagavi, Dharwad, we are named as drone and AI, right? So likewise, to cater these companies, we also have the talent accelerator vertical, which I head the talent accelerator vertical, where we enable the skilling ecosystem of the state. We all understand there is a huge skill gap when the graduates passing out of the academic institutions. How we bridge this gap to working closely with the industry partners, training partners, skilling partners, and make sure we come up with a model. Recently, the Honorable Minister Priyank Kharge has formed a skill advisory committee. One of the working group is also on the AI and drone automation. So I would request if anybody would like to provide any inputs on this working group in creating job roles. I mean, candidates who are ready for the this kind of job roles, which is coming from the drone and automation. Apart from this, we are an enabler and facilitator. We are driven by industry, for industry, basically to bridge the function as a knowledge bridge within government, industry, and academia. So I think currently the Karnataka is the only state has such kind of organization in country where enabling with the to the ecosystem, connecting with all industry, government, and academia. Yeah, that's it from my side. Thank you.
And they also have this big event coming up, Bangalore Tech Summit. It's a giant, massive event in the Bangalore Palace grounds.
I think it's 26th edition of this year, I guess.
Yeah, 29th November, 30th, 31st, sorry, and 1st of December. So
a huge, it's a tech festival in Karnataka. I think more than 400 startups will be having their exhibition centers in the Palace ground. Happy to invite everyone. We can connect to the right people where you can showcase.
30 countries. So they're called Global Innovation Partners. So I'll check this around. There's a few copies of the reception. Just you can please select them and come. So thanks so much. Or I'm sure you're very busy, but you can bring all the colleagues at today.
Thank you.
Thanks. So we have a very packed schedule. We have about 5 or 6 and online, but we already have with us Akash Jalagaj, co-founder and CTO of KDEM. So Akash, go over to you for your pitch.
Yeah, thanks, Madan. Hi everyone. I'm Akash from KDEM. Are you fully present?
Yeah.
Okay. So KDEM, we are a subsidiary of SatSure, and SatSure is a downstream Earth observation company which was founded in 2017, and over the years, SatSure has grown to 150 people, 150 members, all mostly based out of Bengaluru. I'll just come over this. And we have subsidiaries in the US and UK from SatSure, and like currently till SatSure, we have raised 2 rounds of funding, total of $20 million. Kaledio was spun out as a subsidiary within Saxure, and that is where Arpan and I joined the team of Prateep and Rashmit, who are still acting as executive members within Kaledio as well. So both Arpan and me, we brought the upstream flavor of the space ecosystem or the Earth observation to Saxure, to the existing downstream expertise that was built within Saxure. So at Kaledo, we are like 11-member core team, and we have consultants and advisors from both ISRO as well as Surrey Satellite Technology Limited, sort of the case. Just a quick like picture about Saxure plus Kaledo, like what we are looking at, right? I mean, we look at like the oil industry. If you look at oil industry, the people who like extract the oil, refine it, and distribute it are usually the same. Like in the back end, they're all the same, and they control. And that is how we look. If we are already building the data solutions, we have the data refinery built within Saxure to refine the data. Now, can we go ahead and build the source of data and have the source of data within Saxure itself? With this, we can have the full stack Earth observation company, both Saxure plus Kaledio put together, right? And the reason for existence or how we came about was during pandemic, quite a few banks with whom we already worked, they came up and asked us, like, can we monitor few of their construction projects, etc. And we had to go for procuring high resolution data from multiple providers. And we faced a lot of challenges, both from the point of view of pricing as well as availability at the right point of time, as well as once we got the data, the quality, we had issues, like there were like certain artifacts within the data. We have used data for like 5 years, and we understand what the challenges are when it comes to using Earth observation data. And that put us in a position that, okay, like, look, why not have our own source of data itself? And also it acts as a risk mitigation point of view, because currently we mostly use data from open source Sentinel series of satellites. What if one of those satellites fall out of the sky? Or like, I mean, because one of the Sentinel series satellite actually failed in 2021. And so this internal source of data will act as a strategic part of our own journey or the business itself. So the way we are looking is our mission is to increase the value of every bit that we generate in the orbit. And with that, we build the bridge between upstream and downstream sectors of Earth observation. So we have already figured out the data management, data processing, pre-processing part of the chain. We are currently building on the upstream side, that is the payload, the edge processing, and how do we service other clients as well, right? And this we are doing by building our own high resolution, high SWAT payload, which will be going on a fleet of 4 microsatellites in early 2026. With high SWAT, we can achieve like near daily revisit just with 4 satellites. That is one of the USP. We are also planning to process the data on the satellite platform itself. Like, I mean, edge processing is pretty common here on the ground. Like, I mean, you have IoT sensors, etc., where the processing is done, but edge processing in space is still catching up. People are still figuring it out, like what the business model should be, how do we implement it, and how do we meet the customers' SLAs. So this gives a glimpse of our payload. Like when I say SWAT, it is the field of view, like how much part of the Earth can we look. So usually high resolution around 1 meter sensors, they have a swath of around 10 to 12 kilometers or a max of 25 kilometers, which is by planet SkySat. There are few satellites by China which have a swath beyond 65 kilometers as well. But apart from them, most of the other high resolution satellites, even Cartosat, which is of ISRO, they have like around 10 kilometers. And most of our applications are, I would say, large area data analytics within Saxure, which pushed us like, okay, like why not go for a high-res, high-swath kind of a payload. We can image 1 million square kilometer of area every day with 4 satellites. And we are planning to image in multispectral domain. When I say multispectral, it's visible range, like what we see, like a combination of RGB and NIR plus red edge. Red edge is one extra band that we have added, mainly to like concentrate on the carbon credits as well as the carbon sequestration, monitoring of the forests, etc., which helps the red edge band itself. So we have built a scaled down version of the payload, which is currently under alignment in our partner's facility. So this is something that we plan to conduct an aerial test sometime in like late November or early December, like fingers crossed. And we plan to test some various critical functions within the payload. There are like a couple of innovations within the payload, and they're like slightly medium risk to high risk. We want to test it extensively on the aircraft, prove them, mitigate the risk before we even launch our payload. Talking about edge processing, I think this just gives a glimpse of why edge processing is helpful. Basically, it optimizes the amount of data that we get down from the satellites, because every minute that we use of the antenna, they cost us, and it helps us reduce the bandwidth. And considering the fact that we have a very large field of view, it makes sense for us to like get the data down only that is actually relevant to us. Otherwise, we'll be downloading a lot of data.
Can we ask any clarification?
Yeah.
Okay.
And also, we look forward to improving the turnaround time to our existing products at SatShore. Like if we get the insights down, we can directly push it into the product pipeline and get the products out. So recently, in September, we demonstrated this edge processing on one of the satellite called Satlogic, which operates in around 0.7 to 0.8 meter GSD or resolution. So we partnered with a company called Spiral Blue from Australia. So they provided the complete hardware plus software infra on the satellite, while we built the AI model. It was basically unit-based model, which we deployed on the Satlogic satellite. In fact, to be honest, like we deployed two algorithms. One of them failed, and this worked. Basically, our plan is over the next year, we will be running multiple of such sessions of different types of algorithms to learn, to optimize, so that we are in a better position once we have our own satellites. I mean, yeah, like you might ask, like why following sessions only from April 2024? That is mainly because even existing satellite operator like Satlogic, there are certain, I would say, challenges in working with them, because of which we are not able to meet our SLAs, which also built a conviction that, okay, like it is good to have our own source of data, so that we have the control as well.
So, are there specialized processors today for processing only like map data? Or is this a generic processor like the NVIDIA Jetson?
No, Jetson is not a very special processor, to be honest. It's a normal COTS, like commercially off the shelf. You can buy it on Amazon.
No.
So it's just that these days people are taking the risk.
Will a specialized processor help in this use case?
Yes, like you have like a specialized processor by if you go for FPGA based process, yes, like it helps a lot. But the development time involved in FPGA based processor will be slightly longer, because NVIDIA, they have like a bunch of libraries, right? They have built a whole ecosystem of libraries which you can leverage and use it. Similarly, you have Intel's Myriad processor, which is a visual processing unit. So for any computer vision based applications, you can use Myriad, which is a very low power device as well. GPUs help in AI-based like computations
but it's not very specific, purpose-driven. It's a general GPU.
Yes.
In a sense.
But now even NVIDIA is now coming up with slightly higher end GPUs. They're not making it as radiation tolerant, but they're slightly like I would say higher performance with low power consumptions, which makes it.
Are these military grade, because you are telling you're going to do edge processing eventually?
So that's what, like they are not military.
They don't have military grade yet, or even satellite grade in that sense.
They don't have that.
So then, how are you going to do edge processing?
No, I mean, yeah, like I mean, people are deploying. Like even when you say normal electronics, That is the new space thing. Like it was basically started by Surrey Satellite Technology Limited, like back in late 90s, where they started putting normal electronics that you use on phones, etc., on the satellites. Of course, like you have to build certain redundancies, etc. So even in this, the way we are looking at is we will be having two data nodes. Like one will be via the edge processing, one is without. Like in the worst case, if this fails, of course, like we'll get the data down as well. It's not like this.
But are you going to get your data down irrespective in general?
For the first 6 months, yes, like we have to.
Or you will incur dual cost on data
Yes,
to an extent.
we need certain amount of raw data repositories that is necessary to build products, etc.
Got it.
So the go-to market for Caladio, one part is completely based on the satellites that we'll be launching by 2026, where three verticals like analytics, data as a service, and edge as a service is something that we are still working on. Data as a service is straightforward, like data resale or like data. We can sell the data, but that specifically will be focusing only for governments, large system integrators, or strategic customers. While all others will be going with analytics, and specifically within Satshore, this will open up building new line of data products and also improve upon the existing gross margin for the products that we have. Apart from that, since we have built the capabilities of the payload engineering, as well as the fact that we will be able to process the data from the raw, that is L0 till analytics ready data, there are few companies who have actually approached us like, can you build this processing pipeline for us? That is something that we are looking to build for them. The other interesting use case, like someone approached us, was the mission planning and scheduling. We have built a very I would say optimized mission planning and scheduling so that we can cover large areas in a very optimized manner. So that is something which we are exploring as well. So with this, we look to be like a full stack Earth observation company with Satshore plus Caladio, where at Caladio we generate the data that goes into the product pipeline of the Satshore, and Satshore generates the solutions that reaches the end customer to the last mile. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, if you have any questions, like I'm happy to answer.
You could trying to cover the entire spectrum in a sense now, including your own satellites, the insights as a service, raw data as a service.
Yeah, but at the same point of time, we realized that just a single source of data will not solve all the problems, which is why we are planning for just 4 satellites. It's not like we are building like hundreds of satellites and going in that model that, okay, we'll capture the entire market. Because variety of sensors is very much essential to solve different types of.
4 satellites using the same sensors?
Yeah, these 4 satellites will be all the same sensors. And along with that, even now we use data from drones as well.
Okay.
So this high-res data management platform, we are planning to create such that how can we like get data from multiple sources, fuse them, and use such data whenever necessary for any product that we are building. So that's how we are working towards.
Fantastic. Thanks, Raghav.
Yeah,
Thank you from Rakshit. Can we get Rakshit's take on? And Rakshit is the co-founder and VP product at Galaxy iSpace.
So, good morning, everyone. And I think one thing that all of us can visually agree here in this room is that one of the biggest threats or issues currently globally is climate change, right? And we always talk about how climate change is going to affect all of us, but businesses also face a lot of threat from climate change in terms of their current mechanisms and processes being destabilized, and them not having a clear understanding of what kind of risks the climate change poses on their business. So first of all, a bit about Galaxy iSpace. So Galaxy iSpace kind of spun out of another team called as Avishkar Hyperloop in IIT Madras, and all the co-founders and the founding team comes from the Avishkar background, and that's Elon Musk and we were able to demonstrate our Avishkar Hyperloop technology to Elon Musk in SpaceX. Yeah, coming back, an example of how climate change is affecting current businesses. This is an example of an insurance company, right? So, in the United States, there are a lot of disasters that occur, especially the forest fires, the hurricanes, the floods, right? And what happens is, in 2020, for example, um, there was a gap between what the claims or what was the claim amount that was asked by the insurers versus what was the insurance companies were what was the insurance companies were ready to settle. So there was a gap. And secondary thing was that there is approximately 100 million gap between the insured loss and the overall loss. So for example, what the overall loss is not as accurate as the insured loss, right? And the gap is about $100 million. For example, if the company says that if the claims are overall worth $100 million and the insurers are asking $100 million, the company which is disbursing that claims differs in the opinion, right? And this is a huge loss, and especially this gap is increasing because the amount of disasters that happen are also increasing, right? And there are multiple problems that plague this industry. So one of the problem is basically so there are let's divide it into three parts, right? So one is pre-disaster, one is during disaster, and one is post-disaster. So pre-disaster, what happens is the problem is inaccurate risk modeling, right? So the companies who are actually rolling out these premiums don't have accurate insights about the risks of the customer to which they are rolling out the premiums, right? During disaster, what happens is it's more about how do you protect your citizens from the damages. But post-disaster, it's about how do you actually accurately figure out what is the amount of losses that are incurred and roll out those claims, settle those claims, right? So risk management and then mitigation, right? So the major problem during the major problem that happens during risk modeling is basically the lack of accurate data that can model the exposure and vulnerability of the clients. And during claim settlement, the biggest problem is actually the scale at which the inspection has to be carried out, right? So current methods include manual inspection. So either a team of 1,000 or 100,000 people is sent on the ground to actually manually inspect, or IoT devices or drone flights are leveraged to understand the scale of damage, right? So these are the current mechanisms. Now this is the overall size of the market. So insurance market overall is worth about $461 billion. This includes maritime and natural catastrophe, out of which the distribution is 150 billion of the insurance market, and reinsurance is sized at $310 billion. Now, what we understood from some of our sources at Swiss Re is the revenue potential comes out from how much these how much the insurance and reinsurance companies are willing to overall spend on tech, right? And that figure ultimately came down to about $1.5 billion of revenue potential. Right. So yeah, these were the three use cases that I was talking about. So one is the risk assessment. So how do you make sure that the insurers and the reinsurers are accurately able to identify that, what should be the size of the premiums that they should extract from each of the customers? Second is the claim verification. So once the disaster has happened, how can you accurately size the loss and roll out the amount which is very close to the actual loss? And yeah, the third is the premium calculations. There are other markets as well where risk due to climate risk poses a major challenge. And what we are trying to do is, this is just one of the examples where we are solving for climate risks, but we are also building solutions that address food risk, security risk as well. Yeah. So ultimately, of all the problems that I talked about, one of the biggest technology that is coming up to solve everything is satellite imagery, because satellite imagery can deal with scale, and satellite imagery, because of the advancements in sensor technology that's happening is also able to look into more and more parameters to understand the risks or the damage. Right. So what we offer is a platform where these businesses can come and use the satellite data from galaxy constellation to understand the risks involved in their particular business. Now, okay, how are we different in this case, right? So there are existing satellites already that provide multispectral data or synthetic aperture radar data. Now, the satellites that provide multispectral data usually face a problem of cloud, right? So 75% of the time Earth is covered with clouds. So there is very less probability that you are going to get a clear image. Synthetic aperture radar data, if you look at the image on the right, you can't tell whether it's a ship or a pair of shoes, right? So the problem is the intuition. And there are companies that provide multispectral or hyperspectral data, and there are companies that provide synthetic aperture radar data. But the problem is that there is a gap here, which bridges both intuitiveness and availability. And that's what we plan to do. We want to leverage data fusion and generative AI to provide a comprehensive data set, which can provide an intuitive all-time, all-weather information. Now, how is this required, you might ask, right? Now, let's take an example that there is a hurricane that has happened, right? And what you need to do is you need to quickly identify how much damage has happened over an entire state. But at the same time, because of clouds, the image data is not available, right? SAR is there, but because SAR is not intuitive, the company is not able to figure out the amount of damage, or they are not able to use that data as a proof during litigation in courts against the claims, right? So there is a need for both intuitiveness as well as all-time, all-weather need in this particular case. Right. So how are we planning to do this? We are building world's first multi-sensor imaging satellite. What we have is, on a single satellite, we have both a multispectral camera and a synthetic aperture radar, which will provide spatially and temporally matched data set. So if we want to provide the best data, which can leverage data fusion, what we need is a data set which is spatially and temporally matched with respect to each other. Right. This is another example of why data fusion is important. So on the extreme left, what you see is a multispectral image. So there is actually fire in this particular scene, and the brown area that you see tells you that there is smoke. But you can't know what is going beneath the fire in sense that how the fire is actually progressing and how much damage it has caused. For that, what you do is you use SAR that can look beyond the smoke and clouds and tell you actually that, what is the path that the fire is taking. And if you fuse the data, you can not only identify where is the fire caused, but you can also identify how it is progressing, right? So in multiple cases, we can see that disaster assessment, risk mitigation has a really great fit with fused data. Yeah, in order to validate that this data is actually useful, the value of data fusion itself, what we have gotten is we have also gotten over 50 million worth of LOIs from various downstream companies. And yeah, so closing it, this is our go-to-market offering. So we offer platforms that allow organizations to monitor and mitigate risks using data fusion and generative AI-based technologies. Yeah. So this is our roadmap. What we have done till now is, in order to de-risk our technology, we have built India's first drone-based synthetic aperture radar. And we have generated some really good images, and we are in talks with some of the customers in defense as well as insurance sectors to buy the data from that particular payload. And our next milestone is actually to send a satellite next year, since our technology is now de-risked. And the satellite we'll send will be able to provide a revisit of once every 7 days. And eventually we'll scale it up to a constellation that will be able to provide the revisit of 3 hours. And apart from that, we are also building tools and platforms internally that can consume satellite data, risk monitoring and assessment tools internally that can consume satellite data and provide a proof of concept that by generating some traction and revenue, that this data is actually pretty useful in terms of catering to the demands of insurance and other sectors. Yeah, this is some of our. We have advisors from institutes like IIT Madras, Planet Labs, Google, Capella, ePlane Company, etc. That's it. Any questions?
Thanks, Sachin. I think we'll take questions at the end for all together. Yeah. Nikhil, are you with us? Nikhil Balasubramanian, co-founder and CEO of Orbit 8 Aerospace, is also online with us. Nikhil, we can give you sharing rights. Sai, can you just give me sharing rights? Yeah.
Yeah.
So thanks, Nikhil. Where are you based?
I'm currently based out of Munich, in Germany. I'm taking care of operations primarily remotely from here, and traveling in Europe to meet customers, to meet clients, and to try to collaborate with ESA as well. Yeah.
Oh, so it's very early in the morning for you. What, 7 o'clock?
Yes, it's 7 a.m. here.
Thanks for joining so early. Go ahead.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. Am I allowed to share?
Yeah.
Yes. Thanks. Yeah. Okay, just a second. Sorry. Yeah. Okay, I hope it's visible for everyone.
Yeah, we can hear you. We can see the slides. Thanks.
Okay, great. So, first of all, thank you for the opportunity to present our company. We are Orbit 8 Aerospace, based in Bangalore, incubated at the Indian Institute of Science, and we are led by Shakti Kumar, our CEO, and me, the COO. And what we are offering as a company is a life extension solutions for existing and upcoming satellites in space. And I will briefly tell you about why life extension is necessary. So let us consider this scenario. You have a really nice car, a new car out of the dealership, and you guys really like it, but it has no possibility of being refueled. So you have no fuel stations to refuel, to put fuel in your tank, and you have to throw away your car after fuel is over. This seems like a ridiculous way of operating a really expensive resource, but unfortunately, that is how satellites are operated in space. They are destroyed and thrown into junkyard orbit, which is an orbit specially designated for throwing away satellites, and in most cases, the only limiting factor is the amount of fuel in the satellite, and not the technical shortcomings of the satellite. Usually, they are still capable of acquiring data. They're still capable of doing what they are able to do. So, this is a really critical point in the sort of resource, really expensive resource management in space. And the reason why is because satellites have always or until now been designed for one-time use. This is primarily due to the really harsh conditions in space. They want to be really safe, but with advancements in technology and with the understanding of workings of the fuel ports in space, it's possible that we could add a certain component to enable refueling, and that is where we come in. And satellites, when they are designed for one-time use, they have a limitation where they have to carry enough fuel to basically fuel their whole mission. So if you take a geostationary satellite, you have to carry fuel that will sustain itself for 15 or maybe 20 years. And this takes up more than 60% or 50% of the satellite's payload capacity. And also for geostationary satellites like communications and broadcasting satellites, you have to replace them every once in a while. So you have to replace them every 15 years. So most of the expenditure that goes in for these geostationary satellite companies is the replacement cost. So most satellite deployments in this area are replacement satellites. So if there is any possibility of extending the life, it's beneficial for the satellite operators as well. Just a small number, about 200 satellites worth about $100 billion have been destroyed just because of fuel depletion. And what we want to build is a constellation of fuel tanker satellites equipped with a refueling and docking interface, which is our proprietary product. So we have one part of the interface on the client and one part of the interface on our Orbit satellite. And with this solution, we can increase the operational life of a satellite by at least 4 years. It's capable of traversing multiple orbits, that is geostationary orbit, the LEO orbit, and in the future as well, the cislunar orbit. And we have tested and verified for more than 10 fuel types for transferring fuel. And we enable this, as I said, with our proprietary interface. The interface, one half of the interface goes onto the client satellite, one half goes onto the customer satellite. And it enables a procedure called dual docking, which is a novel procedure of docking, which ensures first of all dual redundancy, redundancy is an important aspect of any space component, and it also ensures really strong docking and enables, which we have tested, has enabled high pressure fluid transfer from the Orbit satellite to the client satellite. So what does refueling bring to the sort of satellite ecosystem? So, or what does Orbit bring to the ecosystem? Is we enable refueling accessibility through our interface, but in more broader terms, what we offer is cost-effective life extension. A proper replacement satellite would cost in the area of 200 to 300 million USD for a geostationary satellite. And we expect that we would be able to give about 15x return on investment on just our tanker satellite. Just keeping a geostationary satellite in space for longer would bring in much more valuable additional revenue. And it also has other benefits, which is to enable dynamic mission design. So basically use fuel with fewer constraints. So currently satellite operators take a lot of care to in terms of fuel budget management, and they're very careful about reorienting their satellites, changing orbits. And with the fuel availability in orbit, a satellite operator can use fuel with fewer constraints. It also has other overarching benefits, such as it can defer capital expenditure for a new satellite launch. So by just keeping an on-orbit backup, can still acquire data until they can find a suitable launch date. It can protect companies from procurement delays or launch failures, and in more larger context, it can provide increased revenue generation and can carry more payload instead of fuel. The market size, we aim to target a broad, wide net of customers from space and defense agencies, telecom providers, satellite operators, manufacturers, and in a new wave of debris mitigation and on-orbit servicing companies. It has been widely accepted in this community that without a possibility for refueling, none of these services would actually be economically favorable. And in the context of geo market, geo still holds, even with fewer satellites, it still holds about a third of the whole satellite market value. And as I said earlier, over 70% are still replacement satellites. So as a first case, if we target these geostationary satellite companies, we can still raise a possible revenue of $1 billion. And we have a few competitors, but amongst our competition, we are quite sure that we offer the lowest cost, and we offer the most scalable solution as well. And this is all capable with our really capable team. We have Shakti, who has over 10 years of experience as a researcher in propulsion systems. And he has experience as being in head of R&D in a previous space startup. I have over 7 years of experience, now completing my PhD with a Marie Curie fellow. And we have Rama, who has been a business development executive of other startups previously, and has been a consultant for other space related startups. And we also have Divya in our team, who has over 10 years of experience as a GNC engineer and has satellite deployment experience with the PISAT mission. We are advised by really capable advisors from ex-scientists from ISRO, professor from IAC, and we have Medad, who has experience in as a satellite space systems engineer, as an entrepreneur, as a journalist in the space sector. So it's a very valuable person. And we can with this team, we are taking the product forward. So right now we have completed all levels of ground testing, and we are in the stage of space qualification tests. And the next then we are expecting two missions in the next 2 years. So in 2024, we would like to do a zero gravity pilot project demonstration, and in 2025 we will be launching our first satellite, which will be an IOD for demonstrating our refueling capability. It will be one of a kind in the world. Until now, it has never been done, and we have also amassed a pretty decent portfolio of collaborators with ISRO, with the IAI DLR in Germany, and private companies in Germany, in Europe, and in India as well. So with regards to funding, we request a funding of about 1.2 million for our first phase phase 1 demonstration, which will take us to TRL-9, and in phase 2 for our merger satellite mission, we will require to raise additional funding in the coming years. So with that, I thank all the panel members for the opportunity, and we await questions from you.
Thanks, Nikhil. That sounded like science fiction in the beginning, but now we can see it's very feasible. Excellent presentation. We've got a couple of investors here, but we'll finish 2 more pitches and then come back with discussion for all. We've got two
Excellent.
outstanding investors here. So please stay on if you can. Yeah.
Sure, sure. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Let me now invite our next speaker to come up. Giridharan Tirupatirajan is Chief of Staff, Co-Founders Office at Agnikul Cosmos, joining us now, I guess, from Chennai, right?
Yes, sir. I'm from Chennai.
Very
So,
nice.
good morning,
So,
sir.
Good
Thanks
morning.
for this
I think
opportunity.
you got access, right? So you can share your presentation.
Yes, yes. I'll do that.
They have multiple groups, sir.
So, is my screen visible for everyone?
Yeah, we can see. Thanks.
Yes. Okay. Great. So first of all, thanks for giving us this opportunity. Good morning, everyone. So this is Giridharan. I'm from Agnikul. So I'm the Chief of Staff and Associate Director Operations in Agnikul. I take care of all the investor relations and the operations related stuff. Dealing with vendors, managing projects, all those things. Right. So now Agnikul, so we are a startup incubated at IIT Madras, operating out of Chennai, and we have currently 200 people working with us. So the product that we are manufacturing is a launch vehicle called Agniban, right? So I'll come to the problem statement first, and then I'll get into the product that we are developing. So currently, there are a lot of small satellite manufacturers in the world who are making satellites, but it is taking a lot of time for them to get to space. You can compare this problem with a bus, right? So let's say you are boarding on a 60-seater bus and ask the bus driver to start the bus, right? He won't start. He will basically tell us to wait till the bus gets filled. The same problem occurs in small satellite market. After 2005, satellite size got shrunken a lot. Now people are making satellites, in a much lesser mass, like 5 kgs, 10 kgs. But on the other side, the conventional rockets are still huge. Right, ISRO's own GSLV can take 6 tons, PSLV 3 tons, SSLV 500 kg. So all the weights are in higher range. On the other side, satellites are in a smaller mass range. So this basically creates a problem of waiting for all the small satellites, like how I told in the bus problem, right? So you have to wait till the bus gets filled. Likewise, with conventional rockets, you have to wait till the rocket gets filled. That will take, right now, on an average 2 years of time to get to space. So that's where we are coming in. A simple alternate to a bus is like book a cab, wait for a smaller time, go wherever you want, right? So we are basically making a cab for space. Right? You can call us Vola for space simply for better understanding, right? So we are making a rocket that can take 100 kgs of payload to low Earth orbit. So the mass ranges from 30 to 300. I'll tell you how that works exactly. So currently the launch schedule is being decided by the rocket, right? Customer, the small satellite manufacturer don't have a say in the launch schedule, and also there are few problems like compatibility issues. They have to be compatible with the primary satellite. All those things will come, and obviously the launch location is highly depends on the primary payload, right? For example, there will be one particular launch pad, and you have to launch from that. So we want to solve all this problem together, right? So that's where we are building this Agniban. So it's a 2-stage rocket. The first stage has 7 engines in it. The entire rocket is configurable, like how you buy laptop from the market. If you need 16 GB RAM, you can go for it. If you need 64 GB RAM, you can go for it, right? In terms of laptop. Likewise, the 7 engines in the first stage is configurable. We can fly with 4 engines, 5 engines, 6 or 7 based on the demands of the customer. So by this way, the rocket can be scaled down till 30 kg and scaled up till 300 kgs of payload mass. The beauty here is the per kg cost will be same across 30 to 300. So that's one of our major advantage. And the rockets has the engines in the rocket. So first stage engine is called Agnite, and the second stage engine is called Agni-led, are single piece 3D printed engines, and we are the first in the world to make such an engine, right? You can see 3D printed engines, rocket engines across world, but that will be made into multiple parts, and that has to be assembled together through some assembly techniques. But in our case, it's a single piece, and usually through conventional way, it takes at least 6 months to make one rocket engine, but we can make rocket engines in 72 hours. And we do have a facility in IITM Research Park called Agnikul Rocket Factory, where we can make these engines. And so regarding the team, so this is the team that runs Agnikul. So Srinath Ravichandran is our co-founder and CEO, and Moin is our co-founder and COO. We also have Professor Satya Chakravarti, who has this center called NCCRD in IIT Madras, National Center for Combustion Research and Development. So he is also one of our co-founders. And we also have R.V. Perumal sir, who is retired GSLV project director, and he is called father of GSLV actually. So apart from that, as I mentioned previously, we have 220 members and 35 ex-ISRO scientists who are helping us in various departments. So these are the glance of names that we work with. We work with R.V. Perumal sir, who I told, like father of GSLV. We work with Venkata Krishnan sir, who who basically shaped up all the vendor interactions in ISRO. We work with Karthikeyan sir, who's like former director LPSC, and he also played a major role in designing ground checkout systems for ISRO. And Mukesh sir, who is the one, Mukesh sir is the one who indigenized all the onboard systems in PSLV, GSLV, and all the rockets which are flying out of India is flying with this software. He helps us in software. And about NCCRD, so as I mentioned, Professor Satya, who is one of our co-founders, is head of the center called National Center for Combustion Research and Development. And this particular center is an R&D center that holds a lot of combustion research which is happening in it, right? So we usually tell it to everyone, right? Anything that burns in India, from municipal waste to rocket engines, some research is going on in NCCRD, and it has around 20 million worth machineries and facilities. And this helped us to figure out our initial set of hardwares. And apart from the R&D center, NCCRD is house for a lot of startups, including Galaxy, Agnikul, and we also have E-Plane in it, and X2 Fuel. So there are a lot of other interesting startups who are in the research stage, and they are ready to get incorporated. And all four of us are running out of this facility primarily. And so this is glance about our facilities. So we operate out of 4 facilities, technically 5. The 5th one I'll tell you. So first one is the rocket factory, which I was talking about. So that has a 3D printer in it from a company called EOS in Germany. So that can produce 2 engines per week, 2 rocket engines per week. And then we also have few subtractive machineries and subtractive machining machineries and a few post-processing machineries. And apart from that, we also house a few machines like motion simulators, all those things, to figure out our avionics stuffs. And then engine testing facility. So this is a facility in IIT Satellite Campus, which is in south of Chennai. So here we test all our engines, motors, pumps, tanks, everything. So this is more of a testing facility. And the assembly facility, which is in north of Chennai. So where we do assemble the entire rocket, and then we have a avionics lab in NCCRD. So these are the facilities that we operate out of. So the supply chain. So apart from this, we also have a launch pad in Sriharikota, which is India's first private launch pad. So the supply chain here is make in rocket factory, test in engine testing facility, assemble it, and take to Sriharikota. So it's like from the middle of Chennai, it will come to south, then north, and then towards north to Sriharikota. So that's the supply chain that we figured out, right? Yeah. So yeah, just photos about the facility. So this is the testing facility I was talking about. So this facility is in the middle of a forest. So IIT has a plan of making it as a full-fledged campus. Till then, we are using this facility. So if you see, this facility is completely made of containers, like around 40-50 shipping containers are there, and few movable sheds we do have. So this is a completely mobile facility. I'll come to why we are building this facility as mobile in the later part. And then, so this one is the assembly facility. This one is the rocket factory that I was talking about. Yeah, and these are few awards and recognitions that we got. And so we are the first, only startup who won the Startup India Award last year. And we have signed like MOU with InSpace. That's the regulation authority for space activities in India. Apart from this, we also had an interaction with Honorable Prime Minister during inauguration of InSpace. And so these are few tweets from industrialists when we hired the single piece 3D printed engine when I was talking about. So yeah, this is one big milestone that happened for us actually. So this before this, ISRO's interaction with ISRO's was little bit haphazard. So we have signed a MOU with the interim InSpace on September 17. After that, everything got formalized, like So from here again, the second step, we signed a MOU with InSpace actually on June 10th, and then from that, our ISRO interactions got fastened a lot. So one such opportunity that we got is testing our engines in ISRO's test stand. So when we are talking about single piece 3D printed engine, the first question that comes is whether the technology is validated. So even though we tested that in our own facility multiple times, we have tested around 50 times, I would say, a lot of design iterations. There were a lot of questions around that particular design. So that's where we raised a request with InSpace and got this opportunity to test our engine in VSSE's test stand. So that basically, put a lot of validation for our particular single piece 3D printed engine that I'm talking about. This is one important milestone that happened for us. And then, so we are the first private company in the country to get packages from ISRO. So actually, for the so any rocket, there are two crucial systems. One is a flight termination system, which will be activated when some mishap happens in the flight. And then there will be a tracking system that tracks the rocket through radar. So both these systems are very crucial. So we have raised a request to ISRO through InSpace, and we bought their systems. And the current rocket that we have built is with ISRO's packages. So so this is one important milestone that happened for us last year. So we have inaugurated our own launch pad in Sriharikota. So this entire launch pad is a semi-mobile launch pad. So that's what I told, right? Our testing facility is completely mobile facility. So all we need is a barren land. We don't need a permanent infrastructure to build our launch pad. So here ISRO gave us two section of lands in Sriharikota where we have set up our containers and our skids, mobile plumbing lines, everything. And we have set up launch pad at one particular place near the shore and mission control room at one particular place. Right, and both are functional, and we are looking forward for our first launch in the next 1 month from our own launch pad. So that will be India's first semi-cryo engine powered rocket, which will be flying. And yeah, so this is one summary slide about why we are different. So one is the single piece 3D printed engine, which I'm stressing a lot from the start. And then plug and play configuration, as I told, the entire rocket is configurable. The first stage has 7 engines, but we can fly with 5, 6, or 7 based on the demands of the customer. And then a mobile launch pad, as I told. So all we need is a barren land. We can do our entire launch ops with containers. We can fly from we are designing a mobile pedestrian. From that, we'll erect the vehicle, we'll fly, and we'll take everything back. So that's how we have designed the entire launch ops. Yeah, and this is one video that shows you how the test happens in Agnikul. I'll skip it for now. So one important thing that I want to show about our vehicle. So the timeline that we are looking at is another 1 or 1.5 months. We are looking for our first launch with the vehicle which is standing here. So this one is Agniban sorted. So suborbital tech demonstrator. So this will be flying in another 1.5 months, and in the next 1 year, we are looking for our first orbital flight. So this is about us, and in terms of customers, we are in touch with aggregators in Europe, like RightSpace, whom we are working with to get customer traction, and we have signed around 35 LOAs with different customers across the globe. So this is it. Would love to answer if you have any questions.
Sure, Giritha, we'll take questions afterwards. But can you share some of your slides with us afterwards? A lot of people online also would like to see some of the slides after the event. So you can share either the whole deck or at least some of it. We have one more panelist who's just joined us now. Let me introduce to everyone Vishant Bindal, Head of Innovation Partnerships at NASSCOM. They work with a lot of deep tech companies, etc. So we've got one more pitch, and then I'd like you to say a bit about what NASSCOM is doing. So the final pitch is going to be from Gautami TS, co-founder of Aeronuts. Gautami, over to you.
I will share this.
Yeah, we can share first.
So very good morning, everyone present here. I am Gautami T.S., co-founder and CEO of AquaRx. So today I'm here to tell you something which is going to change the way we look at underwater visual inspection of assets. So look, just imagine a harbor where the surface platforms are the lifeline of trade and commerce. And let's meet Captain James, who is responsible for ensuring the safety and security of these vital maritime assets. So this Captain James faces a daunting challenges when it comes to maritime inspection and security. So his challenges comes from a very intrinsic problems. So just considering shipping as one example, 90% of the global trade happens to the shipping platforms. And this is a core problem that in maritime industry, maintenance delays and budget overruns are always a common headache. And report says 80% of the maintenance projects exceed their budget and 60% face unexpected delays. So why this happens is because of the very own traditional approach that we are following. So traditional approach, the first thing what we are following is deploying our ROVs from boats. So this comes with a slew of problems. Firstly, they are prohibitively expensive. So cost of boat operations, cost of goods, and added skilled personals erode the budgets. And secondly, it's time-consuming process. Deploying and retrieval of these boats and the ROVs in the operation consumes a lot of precious time and messes the operations in maritime. And thirdly, all these available solutions are far from efficiency. And another way of doing is just deploying humans underwater to perform the repair, maintenance, and inspection operations. So what exactly is this is not just a problem of James. This is going to use in different use cases, from ship inspection to naval fleet, underwater pipeline inspection, offshore wind farms to bridge and dam inspection to coral reef monitoring. So the entire maritime industry has got this problem. And here we come with seeing how big is this opportunity for us. So with a total available market of 10 billion, we'll be targeting a 3 billion of serviceable available market. Out of that, our main target will be a 300 million market. And this we will aspire to cover in by 2028, owning the market share of 10%. And this industry is growing at a CAGR of 15.9%, where Asia being the main fastest growing domain. So here is our hero product, which is an amphibious drone. So basically this drone can fly in the air and submerge underwater, eliminating the entire operational requirement of deploying a boat or retrieving the ROVs through a boat, and giving an international standard quality of the data from underwater. So this product, our amphibious drone, saves cost, reduces time, and enhances safety and security. So currently the prototype what we have developed, this is our MVP what I'm showing here. We have gotten the capabilities to develop an amphibious drone, also autonomous underwater vehicles. So this can go up to the depth of 100 feet, which is 30 meters, the current prototype, and endurance up to 30 minutes. So this 30 minutes is the inbuilt battery endurance. So when we power the drone through external battery, it can go up to 3 to 4 hours of endurance. And range currently we are covering is 5 kilometer radius, and payload capacity is 3 kgs. So basically here the payloads will be the sonars what we use, and different sensor arrays like pressure sensors, and in some cases the requirement what we have got is even the explosive go in as a payload for our drone. So I'll just show, this is the prototype that we did 8 months back. So this was our initial trial what we did. So from prototype, now we have reached the MVP stage. And we are going to launch our MVP next month. So I haven't added that new MVP video here. So yeah, basically drone submerge underwater and then travels underwater to perform its function, and again takes off from the water and come back to its original position.
Oh, nice one.
Yes. So this was actually a very nascent one, which we did 1 year back. But now the technology has improved, our product has improved, which we are going to launch in next month. So some of our competitors, maritime industry, especially when it comes to underwater operation, is a huge industry in India, especially. But we have got only 2 players who are operating in this space. One is IROC and one is Planis Technologies. How we have got this competitive advantage is because our solution is much more affordable than their solution. And we are giving one single platform where you can completely deploy and finish up your work and get back to the location.
There is one more, opto-electronics, you should check them out. Opto-electronics is another one, you should check them
Oh,
out.
sure, thank you.
Very similar actually, full stack.
Okay, sure. And globally, we have got a very good competitors. We have advanced navigation. We have SubUS, who has got their amphibious drone, and they're building it for US Navy. Also, commercially, they are operational in US. And Blue Robotics, directly or indirectly, they'll be our competitors because they provide all the subsystems to majority of the maritime startups. And here we come, AquaRx, with our end-to-end single platform. Which is cost effective, and we will aim to serve Indian market initially with our product and services. So for the next 3 years, our focus will be on services where we tie up with OEMs and provide them end-to-end solution. So along with this, I also wanted to introduce our team. So our co-founder, Mr. Jitendra Saini, who heads our entire technology in AquaRx, who has got 4+ years of experience in building different UAV subsystems. And myself, Gautami. So I'm again, both of us are aeronautical engineers, graduated in 2021. So 1 year young startup. Yeah, we have got a great advisory board. We have got Dr. P.N. Tengli, who's an ex-DG of DRDO, who advises us on the technical aspects and getting the inputs and need-based input DRDO or any other naval companies. And we have Mr. Ramashastri Ambarish sir, who is a Dean Myra Business School, who advises us on the financial aspects. And we have Bhaskara Raju sir, who is a retired scientist G from NSTL. He was a part of many strategic initiatives from NSTL to develop torpedoes during his tenure. And we have Mr. Srinidhi GST, is a founder and CEO of Sci-Fi Technologies, who is basically helps us with the IT solutions, the software that we are building. And we have Dr. Mahesh Rao, who is a Chief Executive Officer of Ashaya Design Solutions. So basically, he helps us out with the AI/ML part and electronic subsystems. And we are funded currently by Sign IIT Bombay, and incubation, currently we are incubated at NSR Cell and working out of Nite Meenakshi Institute of Technology. So our partners are NASCOM, KTEC AeroSpace, and TAI Mysuru. So we have 2 patents which are in process. So this is a 3 years product roadmap. So what we aspire to do is a full end-to-end solution of amphibious drone, which we are planning to get into the market in next year and get our first set of customers. And so for that, we are looking to raise funds currently. So in future, what we are aiming is, now currently we have 1 amphibious drone and 1 autonomous underwater vehicle. So we want to monetize each and every sub-components of it. So we will be developing the internal subsystems of this, which can be mass produced and given it to different maritime industry competitors. So yeah, one more thing I would like to show is that, just give me 1 second. So yes, we are not just a hardware company, so we are also providing the software solutions. So a software solution includes a software project management tool. So is my screen not visible? It's Yeah, software project management tool. So where any client, as I mentioned, will be targeting the service industry for next 3 years. Any client we onboard, we are going to give them end-to-end solutions with our project management tool, where they can manage their assets and keep the records and preview their previous history data when and where required. And video overlay, so we can live feed the underwater videos and tell them, give the overlay on the videos and tell them what exactly is happening with your asset and where it is. And we can also tag the, okay, one more thing what we are doing is image and video enhancement. So whatever the video that we are capturing underwater using our drone, so in the post processing, we are enhancing the video quality to give the client better understanding of their assets underwater, and also providing a AI-based report management, a report for them to understand and tag the anomalies in their asset, like at what geolocation they have got an anomaly in their assets, and give them that intelligent reports. So yeah, with that, I would say thank you for everyone for providing this opportunity, and looking forward to hear from you.
Very nice. Thanks, Gautami. Very inspiring to hear people fresh out of degrees are getting into this sector. Very inspiring. And congrats also for being one of the few women founders in this space.
Yes, yes.
So this is a big imbalance here. Now, you mentioned NASSCOM in one of your slides. We have with us Sushant Bindal, Head of Innovation and Partnerships at NASSCOM CUE for IoT and AI. So can you share with us what NASSCOM is doing, deep tech, and particularly deep tech connected to this whole aerospace?
Thanks, Madan, for inviting me. So my name is Sushant. I head the Innovation and Partnership here at NASSCOM Center of Excellence, which by chance is operating out of the same building. So we are on the 3rd floor. Please do come and visit us. So Center of Excellence for IoT and AI. So people think, get confused, we are only focusing on IoT and AI. So we started back in 2016 under Digital India Initiative. The idea was to promote enterprises to adopt upcoming technologies, coming from the startup ecosystem. We promoting you guys so that enterprises are able to adopt technologies, act as a coach, tell them, what can go wrong, what can, act as a bridge facilitator between you and. So the idea was to work much closer with the enterprises and solve the issues, solve the concerns of their enterprises so that they adopt your technologies in a faster way. That was the idea. So under PPP model, which is public-private partnership, this initiative was given to NASSCOM, this charter was given. So ever since we have been working. So back in 2016, IoT was the buzzword. So most of the people talked about IoT. Later on, we added AI. But then we again, because we started working on other emerging fields as well. So the government said, you cannot keep on changing the names because the funds has to come from the government. You cannot keep on changing the names. So we are stuck with IoT and AI. But primarily, we are a center of excellence for all the emerging technologies. So, and to tell you, space tech, drones, this is something which is very, very important piece for us, area for us. And very recently, I think a couple of months back, we did one mixer specifically on this space tech in one of the hotels where we had good number of organizations who were there. We talked about some of the use cases. We gave them a platform where they could connect with some of the major players. So we have been working on many, many use cases. Very recently, we did one adoption with one of the drones company in Cathal. So there was this project by NABARD where using hyperspectroscopy, they wanted to check for some crop yield management. And that is a very, very recent adoption that we had in the last couple of months. I've been working on many, many use cases. Given my profile, I not only heads innovation and partnership, I manage one vertical over here, which we call enterprise vertical, where I work on horizontal technologies which cut across sectors. So the idea is, enterprise vertical doesn't fit into one particular sector. So we work on different technologies, AI/ML, industrial automation, intelligent automation, digital supply chain. So we have been getting a lot of use cases specifically in the drone tech. Some of the use cases like painting a chimney or a smoke screen using drone. This is something which I'm currently working on. The name of the client is Vedanta. Okay, so Vedanta Group, I'm working with them related to this particular use case. This is currently open now. So one thing I wanted to check, because you guys are an expert, I'm not an expert. I sit on the other side. The major issue that I see with drones and these technologies is the capabilities, is their battery capabilities, whether they can sustain a high temperature, whether they can sustain a longer duration to carry out the operation. So one of the another use case that I've been working on is security management using drone tech. Now the problem is a drone will have only 30 minutes of flight time, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, depending on what is the size of the drone. Now, if you are looking at a big CPG plant, you cannot have one drone taking care of the security element and coming back. So how can we, so you have to use multiple drones for the same purpose, and that will increase the cost. Most of the enterprises are cost sensitive. So one thing, so the reason why I'm mentioning all these use cases, so we have been getting, industry is pretty receptive about using drones, using, data from the space. We have, I think, Galaxy, another company, who have been working with us very closely.
From Galaxy.
He's from Galaxy. Yeah. Okay. So we very recently gave them one opportunity to present in ER&D forum. So sorry, I don't know you personally.
No, I was not able to come to that one.
Okay.
One of my colleagues actually exhibited.
So Ashish and a couple of other yes. So we gave them an opportunity. We gave them a stall in the summit that very recently got over, which is ER&D summit. I hope you got the ROI from it. That's the idea about, and that's the beauty of NASSCOM. We work with in different sectors, and I'll be happy to help as an entrepreneur. As a I have had 3 failed startups. So please feel free to reach out to me if you think we could be of any help. I'll go to any extent to help these startups get adoption in the enterprises.
Great. Thanks, Vijay. I was there at the event also, the NASSCOM summit in the Whitefield. Yeah. And Srinath from Agnikud was also speaking online from Chennai. So NASSCOM definitely I can see supporting all players in this space. We also have 2 investors with us. So now the time has come for you to share some of your insights on what is each one of you doing in this space, and any comments on Nikhil and Giridharan's presentations also. And of course, Gautam. Yeah, let's start off with Vinod Shankar from Java Capital. Vinod is the co-founder and partner of Java Capital.
Hey, thanks Madan, for organizing. It's good to learn, and happy that there are some portfolio companies also that's got presented between us. It's quite a common portfolio, and we saw Nikul as one of our investments. And just to give a little bit about our fund, and then I'll throw out the comments on this side. Like, we are a deep tech climate focused fund investing at pre-seed and seed stages. Come in really early, TRL3. A lot of them are showing TRL3. You want to come in at the kind of stages and take it to into the market largely. That's where we play in. Some of our investments include, especially since we're talking about space, right? We have Oculo AeroSpace, we've seen Agnicool, we have ePlane, and a bunch of other companies in the deep tech and the climate space that we've been doing. So there's very few investors who do deep tech. I think now it's emerging. So that's one of them. You can reach out to us. If you're building in this space. And it's something that we are all very, very excited about in the first place. And on the companies per se, I think pretty interesting. And I think some of them we've not seen, some of them we've seen. But interesting aspects are that there are a lot more people who seem to be willing to work in this space. We just saw some people right out of universities not necessarily needing a large experience coming out and, starting to do this, right? I think which is all indicating that, this, we moved from services to products. So we're really trying to do innovation in the country. I think that's like visible. And in this room itself is visible, right? We had Agni with experienced folks, went to US, learned, and then you have Galaxy from university who we've seen, and some more folks, right out of university. I think we are probably at a critical point. We keep telling this, for a long time, critical point, but I think it's really seeing visible and the takeoff point. Let's say, or we are taking off. I think only we're going to space. All the deep tech and innovation that's kind of happening. I think the next 10, 15, 20 years is going to be like super exciting. And the other interesting aspect that came to my mind was before 5 years, right, you'd be thinking which is a deep tech company, where to find. I think that seems to getting really solved here, right? Like, and you can see them because you've not seen some of the companies. Means there are more companies that's coming out than you can see, which is like a great possibility of what's all happening. And you're a little scared inside as an investor. That's okay. I mean, but it's fine. You're going to miss out on some for sure. But I think that's an indication that the ecosystem is really taking off. And some, I've seen good chunk of this. Couple of them we've not seen, and I'm very excited to see. And obviously I want to go and talk. When I already pinged my team saying, have you looked at them? so we're going to go back and look at it and see what's happening. Yeah, happy to be part of this. Yeah.
Great. So we also have with us Vishnu Rajiv, investment principal at Specially Invest. Vishnu, some of what you do and your reactions.
Absolutely. Yeah. What I do basically to replace Java with the Special, we might actually get the same thing. But thanks so much for inviting. Happy to be here. This is my second time. Always a great experience. So I work for Special Invest. We are also an early stage deep tech fund. Typically come in pre-seed, seed stage. We lead rounds and give that. Pricing or giving a valuation is the biggest trouble for an early stage, especially a deep tech fund, deep tech startup. When it comes to investment capital, we are always there to help them with that. Generally, have been in the space for, we have been investing for the last almost 6 years now. Has invested, have one of the largest space tech portfolio in the country. We have 5 companies that we have invested in, 2 of them presented today, Agnikul and Galaxy. We also have Astrogate Labs and InSpacity and AeroSpace in that division. We are also one of the largest institutional checks on E-plane. And then this larger climate ambit where we invest in, including mobility, ultraviolet. There is green hydrogen new trace. There is battery recycling company called Metastable Materials, battery lithium-ion architecture company called Eternal Energy, air-to-water company called Uravu Labs. There's something called as industry tech that we refer to have semiconductor companies. There is a robotics manufacturing arm company called Seinler Labs. There's a quantum cybersecurity company, QNU. Very recently, we have started investing in biosciences and life sciences and technologies over there. Just recently concluded the signing of a biomaterials company. In the process, a couple of more companies getting evaluated. So over there doing, walking the talk. So that's what we do. Happy to answer more questions as anybody wants. Resonate with everything that Vinod said, right? This is so fascinating to see the depth at which the companies are being built, the extent to which we are going, what is happening in India, in the deep tech space in general, and generally the aerospace, space tech area as well. We are also seeing that it's just not defense that we are going to cater to. There's a huge private market and a global private market that is being opened to for this space. So a lot of people seeing, building companies. People earlier in India, Indian venture capital or startup ecosystem is not that old. It's just 15 years old. But early, 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, if you don't know coding, that probably wouldn't have been an option to start up, or at least that's what the primary thinking was. Now, that's not the case. People with experience in the industry, private and public, are thinking that they can also start a company with the skill sets and value add that can bring in manufacturing as a possibility as a startup opportunity. So that is definitely seeing here and generally in the outside as well. It could be the dark horse, like India could be the dark horse in deep tech. Nobody is actually giving us the value that we deserve on the table of all the deep tech innovations that are happening in the country. It will change. It has to change. And there will be great lot of innovations that will come out of it. I think all the startups presented, I was very impressed. Me or some of my colleagues must have spoken to one of them, one or the other of the team members. Generally speaking, what I have one observation is what you do is great, right? Like that industrial engages, and how do you do that? That's the biggest challenge. Like it's the first part is easy. The part I do is also easy. Like find a startup and give. Like I just have to pick the best team, and most of them are the best team. So they can just have to find that valley and just invest in the best team. But then getting to the industry, commercializing is the biggest challenge. I mean, we are yet to see a winner in the deep tech space in India, like a big winner that will just, and that winner is the one we need. Like be gray orange from, or someone Aknikul, they're all like at the cusp of it, has to jump that chasm and get to the point that to claim that position, right, rightfully theirs, and say that, hey, we are a winner. And that will change the industry dynamics a lot, is what I think. So thanks to folks like you, it's great to see that industry connections are being made, and corporates play an important role. You should start inviting some corporate VCs also.
Corporate VCs.
Corporate that people, they are going to be like
GTM.
Yeah, like you need people to. You need corporates to put money into basic research so that new innovations will come in industries. You need corporates to be the first pilot customers. You need corporates to be potentially the acquisition exit opportunities. We need big exits to happen. Need not necessarily be unicorns or anything. When I said winner, like, good 500 million, 600 million, $1 billion acquisitions that need to happen.
You work with Qualcomm Ventures, right?
We do. Yeah. Rama, you should invite Rama. Great. So
including some of the chip makers like an NVIDIA, like especially Astro, right, is talking about imaging, NVIDIA folks. I think the industry folks would make a
just make sure one person from some thing, or if it is relevant to them, of course. Like, I mean, this should have actually had like somebody who could have would have make a massive difference than us. I mean, we kind of have our grounds covered. We'll meet all these people otherwise as well, and they will also reach out to us. But the tougher part is.
So it's not just facilitation, So what I've been doing facilitation for many years now, because I was heading the corporate innovation for F6s for 3-4 years, and we were doing this corporate innovation for the entire APAC region. Two things. One thing you mentioned, the deep tech innovation is coming up big time in India, and I have seen a lot of times, when people, specifically GCCs, they were not taking us very seriously. But I have seen those instances where, people came, Sushant, I need just a couple of them to show my face to the, global audiences. And the winner was the Indian company. I'm talking about very, very deep tech focused companies, biosciences and biomaterial you mentioned. Specifically in those areas where, there are a lot of hidden gems.
Absolutely.
And second thing is, facilitation is one part, but, once you connect a startup with the corporate, it's a very long journey. The problem is the other person, his job is not only to work with the startup, his job is multiple, 10 other things. So he'll not be able to give time.
I think, but I agree, he may not be able to give time because he's a corporate employee, but I think we'll have to start somewhere. If not him, maybe an next person, somebody will find a way, some nerve center.
That's where people like us, we have to push a lot. People like Madan, the ecosystem players, they have to play their part in pushing those enterprise through personal connects. They know that, we don't have any equity or, any hidden motive behind it. So if we are pushing, we are just pushing because we care for the startup, as well as we know that, they will get the desired ROI.
Like to be fair, right? I mean, I agree with everything that you said, but like, I mean, some of the Indian corporates, I mean, globally, working with startups, tapping on the agility of a startup is very common with corporates.
Yes.
But Indian corporates are warming up to the idea.
Yes.
Like, to give a very, very example that was not expected at all, surprised me was, JSW, right? Cement, steel.
Yes.
So slowest of the slowest industries to do any innovation or any adoption. They now have an ESG fund.
Yes.
Just, I mean, Shrenik, no, not the, Shrenik used to work with Celesta. Just he started heading and he's still building the team and all. He has almost like 30 to 40 billion allocation for a year. And steel is like the most difficult to abate sectors in decarbonization.
In some zinc, Vedanta is again is a very good player which in Vedanta.
Vedanta.
So their expectation is 100 POCs in a year. That's the kind of expectation they have, and because it's basically a collection of 12 different companies, which they have acquired. So digitally they are nowhere.
And they want to move fast. So let's finish with one more of our panelists. We are with Deepali Chauhan, founder of KD Associates. So obviously the legal frontier is very big in this space. The Drone Act of India, there's a international space law that's coming into effect. Recently, I think some satellite company got sued because they did not take care of maintenance of a satellite dysfunction, etc. And as you mentioned, corporate startup also is a big IP issue. Who owns the IP? So Deepali, over to you.
Thanks, Madan, for inviting. So, like he said, that it still needs a lot of work around because this is like a government-dominated industry sector. So, and there is no uniform legislation, so to say, to regulate the entire. And at the same time, it's a very highly regulated sector, the space, the aerospace and the drone manufacturing operating. We only have like 2 legislations for now. Of course, there are 2 bills that are in the making, and maybe industry associations like yours, I don't know if you're working with the government to get the policy structure. And of course, we have the SATCOM policy. And there are certain licenses that are required. It's like I said, it's highly regulated. So I don't know how you guys are working around it. And of course, we would be looking upon industry associations like yours as to kind of to support the startup, because like getting the licenses, the approvals from the government, from the authorities, Department of Space in certain cases, how easy it is, because I understand it's really difficult to get those licenses. So working with industry associations, I think if we can help the ecosystem, the startup ecosystem in kind of easing the entire licensing regime, I think that would help. Then coming to the protection of IP, patents and designs. So getting the assets protected, I think would be another key in the entire industry. So these are like 2 cents from legal side. And of course, it's a huge arena of laws that we have to take care of. And of course, then because it's a government dominated sector, so how the private players are getting into this entire piece, that would be another thing that we would be looking into in future. Because like one of you, Agnikul, is the first private player. So how private players are going to get into this. And of course, I think the government is doing a lot to promote the private players, and they're going to work with private companies in future. So maybe Sushant, you can, are you doing something with the government? Are you on?
Not me. We have a specific team, and there were quite a good number of insights, specifically for this drone law.
And we had this 2021. We had this law.
Ashish, who is part of the policy team, he was there when this was done. So quite a good number of it. So we did a lot of insight sessions from the right audiences, which where we took insights from them and we pass it on to the government. So there's a structured process that we have, where we try to inculcate the learnings from the enterprises as well as the other stakeholders and pass it on to the government. And that is very much, in process in that.
So your team, do they kind of get in touch with the startups basically,
Yes.
mainly to get there. It's because getting the licenses like this unmanned aircraft system rules that came in 2021, they also require certain licenses.
Absolutely.
So I don't know how far it is feasible for startups to really get deeper into the legal thing, and it's expensive also. So, I mean, these are the few challenges and risks I see for the startups.
So we have an innovation lab in Center of Excellence for IoT and AI in Gurugram as well, where we have good number of drones solutions specifically sitting out there, and we are trying to help them in every way possible. Given Center of Excellence, we work very closely with. We are a MITI initiative, so it's a ministry initiative. So we have some, brownie points, or you can advantage in reaching out to the right audiences, right? So that is something which we are trying to do as much as possible. But yeah, when it comes to policy, so we have a policy team which works very closely with the government stakeholders and devising any new policies.
It's actually interesting, from again, I'm talking on behalf of the startups here. It would be interesting for maybe NASSCOM, your policy team, to come forward and kind of throw some insights as to what the government is doing. Like in the IT sector, they have this fast tracking of trademark registration. So similarly for this sector, do they have something like, fast
So there's a
tracking
report which was published specifically for drones. Probably, so whoever wants it, I can share it. And based on, I think it's a few months old.
Help.
Yes. So there was this report which was published by the policy team. So it's a never-ending process. We keep on taking.
But a good suggestion. I'll connect all the founders to all the panelists over here for the connection, networking, and so on. So over to the founders now. What's your reaction so far to the discussion? What more do you need, and what can share and outside the room?
Yeah, so firstly, I'm sorry because I got late. Firstly, thank you for this opportunity. Like Madan sir has always been a great support for our startup. So when it comes to deep tech, as everybody mentioned here, so whenever we approach an investor, the sort of reply or anything we get is one, go to market. So then the other side is like, to go to market, we need funds. Because in a very intrinsic hardware-based products, there's a lot of cost involved in development stage itself. Like as sir said, they come in tier 3 tier, but many VC firms doesn't do that. Or because of a lot of compliances involved, risk involved. So many say like, you get your first 5 projects done, then we will invest. But there is that gap in the market where to get to that 5, we'll be needing certain funds, certain support from the ecosystem. So that can be still improved or supported better. So apart from that, like MXR has been a great event. I've participated in Mysore as well. Yeah, overall it was great. I loved listening to other 3. It's amazing. It just gives us more inspiration and motivation to keep going and disrupting the industry, because everybody here sitting are doing their first step in their own industry, be it Agnicol or Galaxy I, any of them. They all are innovative and first players who are disrupting that industry. So with Aquarics also, we are the next disruption in maritime underwater robotics. So yes, thank you, and it's great to be here.
Great. So Akash, some comments from you, reactions. What more do you need from the ecosystem?
Well, first of all, thanks Madan for inviting us to this event. I mean, personally, this is the first time for me attending like an event by TIE and this Mixer event. Yeah, like interesting like mix of people here. Like already like I've heard about Specialia and got to know about Java from Vinod. We are part of NASSCOM Deep Tech as well from Satshore and Callidio. Good to meet and also hear about different startups like Gautami. Like for me, like I'm an entrepreneur by chance, right? Like I mean, like Pradeep pulled in and like hey, you start doing this, like I think I resonate with what Vinod and Vishnu were talking about. We are at the cusp, and we need to take that last jump and make sure that like we prove this deep tech companies within India, like we can create innovation within India, which is why like a lot of people are now coming back to India. Like I mean myself, like I did my master's and even PhD is something that I'm doing. I'm still coming back to India. So we want more innovation and more people pursuing this within India. And thanks to the support provided both from investor as well as the, I would say, enablers, industry enablers like NASCOM. And I hope like more such events happen here in Bangalore, specifically focused on space tech as well as aerospace. Because Bangalore is one of the hub of aerospace and space tech, but unfortunately we are still in the IT wave of startups. Like I think many people follow the Peak Bengaluru Twitter handle. So Peak Bengaluru Twitter handle is fully flooded with IT jokes or like IT memes. No, I'm just.
We don't want to get into the memes, please.
I think like once we are able to capture the common man's problem or vision, right? Once we are able to reach a common person, like even my mom, she uses Google Maps. She doesn't even like nobody knows like how Google Maps work, like, how navigation works, and it's been working since 35 years. The GPS satellites, right? So once we get to the common person, that is when they understand the value an industry adds into their lives, and then people start talking about it. So basically, like, how do we add value to a company?
I mean, Swiggy, Uber, everything exists because we have GPS. Otherwise, we wouldn't get our food exactly. Not travel from A to B, right? Yeah,
that's all.
Well, are you planning? You guys will stay as a subsidiary, or is there a plan to spin off and?
Well, it depends on quite a few factors. Like currently we are a subsidiary of Satchwell, and we might spin off. Like I mean, it depends on a few.
It depends on the growth and the how much you will be able to fund. But current, but then, like, then how is the decision making? Do you guys have like more autonomy, or is it more consulting with? As well.
No, like I mean, currently, like the CEO of Satchwell is also the CEO of Kaled.
Okay.
So it's very easy. I mean,
he drives the vision.
He drives the overall vision, but from tech and operations, there is complete autonomy. Like I mean, tech, whatever we are developing, and even from operations, like the kind of businesses that we want to engage with. Of course, like if we are selling data like to some other companies, like we will make. If they are like direct competitors, then of course, like we will not be able to sell the data to them. But if they're like indirect competitors, we can definitely go ahead and work with them. So,
great. Rashid, comments, reactions, suggestions, feedback?
Yeah. So first of all, thanks for organizing this. I think this was a great opportunity for all of us as well. And I think one unique thing that I really liked about this event is the diversity of technologies that we've covered, from downstream to satellites to rockets to underwater robots as well. And I think one great thing is that these kind of deep tech mixers can help or identify potential opportunities to collaborate with, other deep tech folks in the industry. For example, I figured out another startup, which is building technologies that might be helpful for us in the future, which I was not aware of. Right. So I think that is one great area. And second thing I think is Vishnu and Akash already mentioned that it's very important to not only build this in our own silos, but also to understand, how can this technology potentially add value? I think that's something where we need to pace up a little bit more, maybe foster some sort of a collaboration mechanism with the corporate VCs, as you guys already mentioned out, right? And I think the third thing which you rightly mentioned, or I think there is some existing, I won't say it's a problem, but I think it's just the pace at which the licensing works in this industry. I think I think everyone is coming together to solve that issue, and I think that's one thing if it accelerates, then I think it will be a great
Okay, Nikhil, you're very patiently waiting for us when you should be having coffee and breakfast and so on. But any quick reactions, comments? What can we do from here? When you come back to Bangalore, we can chat more, but tell us some more about events.
Okay, yeah. First of all, really happy to be part of this mixer. I think it is a great melting pot of companies at various stages of development, and it's really inspiring to see companies that are, let's say, launching in the next month. Yeah, and they've a lot of funds raised in the Indian ecosystem really, really promising, and it also offers us a really good goalpost to aim for. Especially for in the context of our startup, it's a really, really new market, and it's going to be a very disruptive solution. And based on our experiences presenting this, say in this panel and in other panels in Europe and around the world, there has always been this question that is this on the border of science fiction, or is this a bit of is this reality or not? But I think within the market itself there is a huge need for on-orbit servicing and the solutions that we offer, and I strongly believe that there in this panel there should also be sort of a panel for grants committee from the government. I think that is something that is always necessary for deep tech startups, that you need institutions that give us non-dilutive grants at the outset to make developments to get us to our MVP. And I feel that there is a little bit of a gap, because going through the government processes takes a lot of time, and there should be a seamless integration between apply today, you get your start your work in a few weeks. So there is still a little bit of bridge to gap in that area. So any grants committee, any, I don't know, NGOs or organizations that can facilitate this, I think that should definitely be part of the conversation as well.
Very good suggestion, Nikhil. Thanks. Giridhar, you got the last word? Yeah, thanks.
Oh, yeah. First of all, thank you for having us here. It's great to meet a lot of startups, and Vinod and Vishnu from Java and Pashale. It's great to present in front of them. So it's a nice to us spend got to know a lot of new startups who are working in this area, and there are a lot of people whom we can also look and see whether we can collaborate also. That also can be done. And as Nikhil suggested, there are a lot of people on the government side, there is something called make challenges that Defense Space Agency and IAF is hosting. So you can have people from those challenges. So there are a lot of problem statements that will map with us one-to-one, right? There are around 60 make challenges there. So those things would be very helpful for the deep tech startups, right? There are a lot of problem statements which the products itself will exactly solve. Right? That mapping would be really helpful for everyone. So that is also one suggestion that as Nikhil pointed out. And other than that, it's great meeting you all. Thanks a lot.
Very nice, Giridhar. Next time you come to Bangalore, please come for one of our physical events also. Thanks so much. And with that, we come to the end of our event. But let me also ask some other people in the room to just tell us who you are. Please.
I'm Giri. So I'm a venture scout. I scout for startups, and then the VC, I have connections with some VC analysts, and they have given me certain criteria. If the criteria matches, we will connect.
So obviously, all the 5 year your criteria.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, and please.
I'm Nisha Gopinath. I am a legal counsel. I'm working with companies, and this is my first time, and I'm very impressed and inspired by meeting you all.
Myself, Navina from KDEM.
So I'll just do a quick brief. Thank you all for joining us. Vinay Dora, part of the MXR, and also have a product called Crowd Product, which actually does matchmaking. So I've been in the space tech domain for quite some time. I've been working with many of the, in fact, the Speciale and others were also customers earlier in 2018-19. We worked with some of their portfolio companies. For instance, Astrogate Labs, we helped them in hiring talent. They figured that, how do you get high-end talent? What kind of experience? So we did a Space Tech 101. Also, we closely work with the innovation-led startup ecosystem. I'm involved with TIE, KDEM, even the NASCOM 10K product skills. I'd be happy to, I've got some of your inputs and insights. I'd be happy to work with the COE team as well. a few questions here and there. What kind of formats do these enterprise leaders, companies like you said Vedanta, JSW, would they like to be in a roundtable? How can they be involved? Would they want one-to-one focus sessions with individual startups? Plus, you mentioned about grant agencies. Can we get them next? Along with the government folks, decision makers. So sometime in December, with Madan's and others' permission, we could have a follow-up session with corporate leaders. I'll be reaching out to you, Sushant, and those of you to see what kind of corporate problem statement use cases. And since Gautami mentioned, many of the investors want your first 5 customers. How do we enable you to do that over the next 3 to 6 months in an ongoing manner, working with other partners? So we could reconvene for another session with corporate leaders, with grant providers, and make things happen for you. The other thing is, what is the format? Could it be a physical hybrid format? So some of the follow-ups that we'll do, we'll reach out to all of you. Yeah, and any other requests that you have, happy to try and work with other enablers and fulfill those. You could reach out to Badan, me, and the other people from the ecosystem, and we'll be happy to make it happen.
Global Summit also.
Yeah. So we have a set of other events that are happening. There's Thai Global Summit in Singapore. I'm myself personally, I'm also doing a Thai leadership event on November 4th. Then we have the Bangalore Tech Summit end of the year. So we will all find common synergies. And then we also have a set of other activities that we'll be doing. But my objective is the ROI, how to enable you guys to reach your outcomes. Some of our learnings is just an online ping or connect or an emailer may not help you get results quickly. You need a sort of an offline engagement. That's where the trust is built, especially India and Asian countries. We trust you more when we see you in person. So how do we have these, even in the Thai Global Summit or in the Bangalore Tech Summit or in the Leadership Summit, how do we ensure that we are able to matchmake and help you achieve your goals and objectives? So we keep doing this. It's an ongoing process, and looking forward. Any other things that I missed, Manas?
I think Bangalore Tech Summit also, we called Bangalore Tech Summit.
Yeah, Bangalore Tech Summit also, we are part and parcel of it. It's happening on the 30th and the 1st. We are thinking of doing an evening sort of a mixer, having a curated set of people, say in the space tech, deep tech domain, having it at a pub or a sort of a session like this with tangible outcomes. And if you have anybody you'd like to invite, we'll write to all of you.
Do you have any other events in this space coming up other than this?
That's called Future Forge, right?
When is that?
8th and 9th.
8th and 9th, yeah. How are you working with the Deep Tech Club? Are you...
So part of the same, so they are sister concern.
Yeah.
So, they sit on the second floor.
We can do a sort of a research, getting inputs from the deep tech domain on what do they need, because you spoke about getting some surveys done, right? So how do you go about doing your surveys with the...
We have active members in DTC, quite a good number of, so it's just pretty easy for us to get the inputs from them.
And your COEs, you have in 4 locations?
We have 4 locations, yes. Vizag. Vizag is focusing on oil and gas. And yeah, so mining. Gandhinagar. Yes, we have a center there in IIT Gandhinagar, focusing more on Industry 4.0 SME vertical. So a lot of solutions we are building specifically for the SME. And Gurugram and one FM.
And would you also like to put some use cases, problem statements for the larger innovation ecosystem? That way we could amplify your challenges.
We can do that. Absolutely.
And also the reports, if you can share the research reports.
I will do
the drone one. I think engineering services also report to CG.
Very, very recently, I think, yeah, I do have that report. I will share it.
Great. So with that, everyone, thanks so much. Have a fantastic day ahead and a great week. Happy Diwali in advance. Before we know the year will be over, so happy New Year for 2024.
Thank you.
You had that first year today. So thanks everyone for joining us. Once again, I'll connect you all to each other online, and any reports that will be shared, we put on that list also. We need the AgriCool PDF also, your presentation if you can, your slide deck. You can upload that, whichever slides you want to share with the public. You can share. Thanks, Nidhi. Thanks.